Ahead on our news tonight, one prime minister says to another, take your own advice. Plus, 12 inches of rain prompting flooding remediation plans. And later, Fort Lauderdale, here we come. Find out the Bahamian airline taking flight. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Kendino Knowles. Prime Minister Philip Davis hitting back at former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, who yesterday suggested government impose taxes on the rich to help the poor. Berthany McDermott reports the Prime Minister is saying Dr. Minnis should take his own advice.
He needs to take his own advice.
On Wednesday, former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis insisted government isn't working effectively to combat inflation. Asked about the issue ahead of the weekly parliamentary session, Dr. Minnis suggested that the Davis administration tax the rich to help the poor. Today, the Prime Minister reminiscing on decisions Dr. Minnis made while in office that didn't favor the less fortunate.
And if you notice, when he came to office, the very first thing he did was to reduce the taxes on rich. Just look at the business license fees that he reduced when he came into office. All businesses earning, I think, over $50 million had a tax break. He needs to take his own counsel. We are, and you will see when we present our budget.
His comments come as residents have been expressing concern about the rapidly increasing cost of living, and After Works Minister Alfred Sears said power bills could increase. In fact, today, Bahamas Petroleum Retailers Association Vice President Vasco Bastian said he expects gas prices to increase to $6.48 at Esso. Davis reiterated that his government has a plan to fight inflation, which he says will be revealed next week.
$1 had a tax break. He needs to take his own counsel. We are, and you will see when we present our budget, the efforts and initiatives we're taking in respect to inflation and in respect to looking at what taxes we could be raised to assist us in our efforts going forward.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
The Davis administration also hitting back at criticism over Prime Minister Philip Davis's recent travel schedule. Press Secretary Clint Watson reasoning in a briefing today that the Prime Minister is in high demand worldwide.
Here is why the Prime Minister is in high demand. Because he has boldly, in the first 6 months of his administration, become a leading voice in the world on climate change. Climate change is impacting the world over. We see it. We saw it this past weekend here in our own capital. The Bahamas has taken the bold move of being a leading voice on climate change worldwide.
On Thursday, former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis criticized Davis for his recent trips, saying Davis needs to stop traveling and focus. Just this month, the Prime Minister traveled to Miami, Tennessee, and London. Watson, however, revealing some of the trips were not paid for by government.
In events where he's invited to speak and so forth, they always normally cover his costs and so forth. Also, what is important to know, a lot of these meetings are international foreign affairs meetings between countries and agencies, where sometimes you carry your cost to be there at the table. At the end of the day, we can provide to any media house who's looking for information on costing and so forth, and that all, by the way, will be aligned in budget.
Well, as bad weather conditions continues to dump inches of rain here in the capital, the Ministry of Works and Utilities revealing plans to remediate flooding in several flood-prone areas. It's welcome news for residents and motorists following a system last Friday that dumped more than 12 inches of rain in the space of 24 hours on New Providence, causing massive flooding in western areas. Senior engineer for civil design Henry Moxie explains while several methods of removing water from streets are already employed, new measures are being looked at.
We also look at box drain systems that we're also looking to implement that will go into areas where you have wetlands, roadway that borders wetland, to allow there being that balanced flow. Fishing Hole Road is an ideal example. Anytime the water could not pass through a small opening, pass through that volume going through a small, it always overtop. So you have to establish a balance as to how you can move that water successfully from one side to the next. We're looking at a prototype system which is soon to be taking effect in the Pinewood Garden community. It's called the Aqua Drain Storm Brick System. And as you can see, that's the inlet, the membrane that would be placed under the park in Pinewood. So we won't be taking away any land space, usable land space. The WAPRO system is what we call a backflow valve. That there would allow tide water to remain beneath the surface.
Moxie says fixing Pinewood's historic and notorious flooding is a priority, and the Ministry of Works is ready to move on remediation measures when approvals are given. Minister of Works and Utilities Alfred Sears telling reporters the work will be done over the span of 3 years and will likely require both government and grant funding through multilateral agencies.
We have assembled a team to look at our building code. Just beginning in this budget, we will have funding in there to get us moving on this path. It may have to be supplemented in the course of the year, but each year there will be an increase of that amount so that within 3 years, we also, within the ministry, will have monitoring so that we can scientifically document.
And speaking of rain and flooding, it's time now for your first look at weather. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is standing by in the Weather Center with a look at temperatures. Greg?
Thanks, Kendino, and welcome everybody for our first look at weather. Steamy evening outside our studios right now. Temperatures in the low 80s. Cloudy skies. We did have some showers and some thunderstorms earlier today, and that's the reason why it feels so steamy out there. Southeast winds at 7 miles per hour, and your feels-like temperature factoring in the relative humidity, a steamy 89 degrees. Satellite view, still have that moisture plume coming across us. Some of that moved back up across the northwest Bahamas, bordering just around the New Providence area and the Berry Islands. Some showers and isolated thunderstorms popping up across the Big Yard. Also has seeing some showers and thunderstorms across the central and southeastern islands. That moisture plume will be with us through tomorrow, so we're looking for some more showers and thunderstorms in the forecast. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
All right, thanks a lot, Greg. Well, still to come on our news, amendments to legislation for digital assets passes the Senate. Plus, Western Air takes inaugural flight to Fort Lauderdale, and we are on board. And later, the lives of 16 nurses remembered. That's coming up when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamika.
Prime Minister Philip Davis revealing his administration will launch an aggressive public works program to build and maintain critical infrastructure on islands where it's desperately needed. Jasmine Brown reports.
The Prime Minister was delivering opening remarks during the latest Business Outlook Forum when he outlined his administration's plans.
My government appreciates this and has an aggressive public works program. Seawalls, bridges, schools, clinics, hospitals, docking facilities, harbors and airports have to be built and maintained to support new business developments.
Davis also told attendees of Cat Island Business Outlook that the government must learn from painful lessons of the past when it comes to ensuring that the right infrastructure is in place.
We must not allow weighty political considerations to become a stumbling block to progress and growth to the detriment of our people and their livelihoods.
As is the case on many of the Family Islands, infrastructure works are needed on Cat Island, which is a part of the constituency the Prime Minister represents in Parliament. In the last few years, the state of Cat Island's airport has been a point of concern for residents, particularly since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Ahead of the general election, photos showing the poor state of the airport in New Bight circulated. At the time, as opposition leader, Davis blamed the Minnis administration for abandoning the islands. While Davis did not address specific plans for the airport, he pointed to the need to prevent infrastructure from deteriorating.
The maintenance of current and the construction of new public infrastructure and superstructures represent critical support services and investment opportunities through public-private sector partnerships to buttress economic growth and development.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard calling on the Prime Minister to take action if there were any illegal issues with the Food Task Force under the former administration. Berthany McDermott reports on this, and you can watch the full story now live on the R News Facebook page. And senators debating and passing amendments to the Digital Assets and Registered Exchanges Bill today. Kicking off the debate was Attorney General Ryan Pinder, who says the amendments are critical for strengthening the country's anti-money laundering framework.
This is a new frontier. This is a frontier of tremendous growth and opportunity. This is a frontier that requires responsible, focused, and fast-moving policy and regulatory reforms on a constant basis. It is something we are committed to. It is something that our white paper specifically speaks to. It is something that the Digital Advisory Panel is actively working on day in and day out.
The Digital Assets and Registered Exchanges Bill 2022 allows for the monitoring and sanctioning of persons carrying on or purporting to carry on digital asset businesses without the requisite registration pursuant to DARE. In the House of Assembly on Wednesday, Prime Minister Philip Davis saying the amendments are needed to support the Bahamas' re-rating application for Financial Action Task Force Recommendation 15. Opposition Senator Michaela Ellis supporting the amendments, but also had this to say.
Mr. AG seems to think that everything magically happened on the 20th of September. The fact is that the F&M administration FTX registered on the 20th. The fact is that the F&M administration recognized the opportunity in the digital assets space and conducted the research and passed the DARE Act.
Small Business Development Center Interim Executive Director Samantha Roll estimates around 30% of small businesses are delinquent in repaying their loans. Back in August, former Executive Director Davina Blair saying 1,934 small businesses received funding totaling $68.1 million. She said 68% of the funding was in the form of guaranteed or direct loans, 21% in the form of government grants, 9% in the form of microloans, and 2% from equity contributions.
At the moment, we have about three companies that we are working with, as well as working with the lending partner to see how we can turn that around for them. In terms of our delinquency percentage, we have across a number of different financial institutions varying percentages. But if I may give an estimation, as I do not have exact percentages across each, I would say that we're probably around 30%.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news comes back from the break, the Bahamian airline now taking flight to Fort Lauderdale. And the nurses who lost their lives in the fight against COVID are remembered. We have the details when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamika.
This is our news. Welcome back. If you're making travel plans this summer, particularly to Florida, then you may be happy to learn that Western Air has now added Fort Lauderdale to its route. The airline making its inaugural touchdown today, our Megan Shepard was on board for the historic flight.
Getting from here to here just got easier, and that is thanks to Western Air's new route from New Providence to Fort Lauderdale. According to Vice President of Operations and General Counsel Rexy Roll, she says this was no easy feat after recovering from major loss due to Hurricane Dorian. She says this bounce back is a testament to the company's commitment to consistency, reliability, and most importantly, customer safety.
Afternoon from the flight deck. It's a pleasure to have you on board on the Western Air's Flight 102, our inaugural flight into Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Roll announcing the company will be introducing a Fort Lauderdale Grand Bahama route.
It's been a journey to get here, and so we're so proud of where we have come, and we couldn't do it without, first of all, the grace of God, and beyond that, our passengers. We have some frequent flyers who are consistent, who fly with us 4 or 5 times a week, and we just look forward to providing that same quality of service every day, but now to Fort Lauderdale. We have come a long way. We've transitioned in from metros with 19-seaters to the Saabs and now to the jets, and we look forward to continuous expansion. But we also look forward to, I keep saying consistent service, but that is so underrated. Being able to provide the same experience, fast, on time, safe.
Wife of the Prime Minister, Anne Marie Davis, on board the inaugural flight. Extending congratulations to the company, Davis says it's a major step, not only for Western Air, but also the country's tourism product.
I think it's phenomenal for the growth of the airline, for tourism, more jobs, however many that is. And it's just great, a good getaway. It was quick, smooth flying, and I'm very proud.
Deputy Director General in the Ministry of Tourism, Kenneth Romer, noting Western Air has been leading the way as a domestic carrier. And now, as they spread their wings into the international market, the Bahamian-owned airline will play a key role in the growing tourism industry.
Stopover arrivals traditionally contribute 28 times more than the average cruise passenger. We speak about the economic benefit, the economic impact. It is sizable again for our tourism and our island's economy. Again, to expand our wing to come into an international market, our sales team in Florida has been working closely with Western Air. And again, we're targeting our key source market in Florida. Western Air gives us now additional seat capacity, additional airlift to the islands of the Bahamas.
Now passengers enjoyed a smooth flight to the United States thanks to Director of Safety, Captain Delano Knowles. He says as a young captain, the opportunity to captain the flight was big.
A pretty elderly person dominated career because there most captains on aircraft are 45, 50, they're much older. So being a 26-year-old captain at this company is pretty, it's record breaking, and I'm pretty happy and proud to be the one to actually carry that title.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Megan Shepard.
All right, thanks a lot, Megan. Well, Jazz and the Marlins suffering another tough loss. Also plans for the local bodybuilding season being revealed, and the Warriors take Game 1 over Dallas. Marcellus Hall is up now with sports.
All right, thanks, Candino. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Jazz Chisholm and his Miami Marlins, they've been up and down this year, starting to be more down than up. But Jazz Chisholm looking to bounce back from an 0-for-4 day at the plate. Turns out he did exactly just that, but it would come in a loss. Let's take a look. Jazz Chisholm and his Miami Marlins back in action yesterday, hosting the Washington Nationals. Jazz, after an 0-for-4 day, looking to bounce back, and bounce back he would. 2 for 2 on the afternoon. Perfect day at the plate, finished up with a couple of RBIs as well as a couple of hits. Scored twice and had a home run to his total. Jazz continues to lead the Marlins organization in home runs and RBIs. Looking pretty good as his average once again goes up over 300. Looking solid. Marlins, unfortunately, not able to get the win here. They go down 5-4.
All right, still to come, Greg. He's back with your extended weather forecast. And later, the 16 nurses who lost their lives in the fight against COVID are remembered. That's coming up when Our News returns.
Got size at 6'5". this is Salute.
Welcome back to our news. It's time now for your extended weather forecast, and Greg is back in the Weather Center with a look at conditions for the rest of the week. Greg?
Thanks again, Kendino, and welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. Of course, we are talking the tropics and taking a look at sea surface temperatures. Of course, you know June 1st begins the official start of the Atlantic hurricane season, and it's very warm in the Caribbean as well as in the Gulf of Mexico. And these are the spots that we continue to monitor in the early part of the season for some formation just around the northern portion of the Bahamas off the Florida coast, into the Southwest Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico. And if you notice the Southwest Caribbean, very, very warm, super warm at this time. And those warm temperatures, sea surface temperatures, is what these systems tend to form over. Of course, we also mentioned that we are watching an area in the Southwest Caribbean, not really organized at this time, still has a low potential for some formation, but we expect the system, whatever forms out of it, to move into the Gulf of Mexico. And we're seeing some of the models actually bringing what is left across into the Pacific Ocean. Satellite view showing that moisture plume across the northwest and central Bahamas and the southeast Bahamas emanating out of the Southwest Caribbean, and that is going to keep us in a little bit of a moist pattern and an unsettled pattern for at least another day before things start to clear up. So showers and thunderstorms in the forecast, and as I mentioned, the system, whatever is forming out of this down in the Southwest Caribbean, should move into the Gulf of Mexico and stay away from us. Boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the southeast to south, 10 to 15 knot seas, 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Your high tide will be at 11:40 tonight. For the central and southeast Bahamas, more of an east to southeasterly flow at 10 to 15 knots. Your seas running 2 to 4 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your 7-day planet, this is how things would be shaping up. Moisture plume still across us by tomorrow, so some showers and thunderstorms in the forecast. We could still have some showers on Saturday, but after that, things rather clearing up and temperatures will start to soar. That's a look at our weather. Back to you, Kendino.
All right, thanks a lot, Greg. Well, the lives of 16 nurses who died during the pandemic were remembered today with a ceremony and tributes to their families. Nurse Kimberly Morales celebrating her colleagues who passed away, noting that they sacrificed so much to care for others during the height of the pandemic.
When we think about persons who would have wanted one more moment in time, let's not take it for granted that we're still here. And let's make whatever we do, every second, every minute, every day, every year, every week count.
Acting Managing Director of the Public Hospitals Authority, Abinette Roll, and Hospital Administrator Mary Walker says there's no way to ever repay how much the 16 fallen nurses have given.
We cannot run away from the fact that the nurse does spend the majority of their time in direct patient care. They interact with the patients every day on a daily basis.
We honor their service and careers as professional nurses. We honor the compassion with which they cared for their patients. We honor their sacrifice. We honor the times that they missed on spending time with their loved ones in order to comfort and support the loved ones of others in need.
All right, and we certainly salute them and wish their families nothing but sympathy. Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kendino Knowles. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night, and until then, have a wonderful evening.